we're going to look at some different methods here. So let's look at the standard algorithm, what most people consider the standard algorithm, which just means kind of the standard formula. Not a lot of understanding in here, you just follow the rules. So the rules are 8 times 5, and by the way, I'm doing 25 times 48 here, and I put my 25 on top and my 48 on bottom. All right, so 8 times 5 is 40. You put a 0 in the ones place, you put a little baby 4. 8 times 2 is 16. Add the 4 in, you get 20, and I'm going to cross that 4 off so I don't get confused later. Put a 0 down below in the ones position. Now you take 4 times 5, which is 20. You put a 0, put a little 2 up here. 4 times 2 is 8, 9, 10, and I add down my columns and I get 1200. That's your standard algorithm, okay? Partial products focuses on place value. So any time we do partial sums, partial products, partial differences, it's focusing on place value. So I'm going to take 25 times 48, and I'm not going to do a visual with this, so I'm just going to write the numbers. I'm going to draw like a line underneath with like an upside down L, so kind of on the far right, like a line going up and down. And when I look at the 8, I'm going to view it as 8 times 5 and 8 times 20, because it's really 8 times 5, and that's really 25, so it's really 8 times 20. It's not 8 times 2. Then, so I have 8 times 5 off to the right and 8 times 20 off to the right. Now I'm going to focus on the 4. Now the 4 is not really a 4, it's really a 40, and I'm going to take 40 times 5, and I'm going to take 40 times 20. So you're focusing on what these numbers really are. Okay, and I have that all written vertically down to the right of my numbers. So now I'm going to take 8 times 5 is 40, and I'm going to line up my numbers. 8 times 20 is 160 or 160. 40 times 5 is 200. And then 40 times 20 would be what? 8 with 2 zeros, 800. And then I'm just going to add all those numbers up. 0, 0, let's see, what is it? 1200. And I still get the same number, but I'm focusing on place value. Okay. The box method goes along with that, except it's kind of an area model where you draw pictures. So I'm going to draw a big rectangle, and I'm going to cut it into 4 pieces. And one piece is going to be 40 and the other 8. And again, I kind of try to make it to scale sort of, but not completely. So like 48's on the longer side, 40 and 8. And then the shorter side, I have 20 and 5. So you cut it by place value. It's kind of like partial products, but it's a visual. And we call this the box method. It's an area model, okay? So then I do each piece, 40 times this, and it helps me line them up. So like 8 and 20, 40 and 5, and then 8 times 5 is 40. So I have my little rectangle that's 4 by 4. 40 times 20, I put 800 in that little box. 8 times 20, I put 160 in that box. 40 times 5, I put 200 in that box. 8 times 5 is 40. And then I add up all my boxes. Now again, kids might do this in pieces. So like the 160 and the 40 make 200. So then they might do like 800 plus 200 plus 200 maybe. So they might not just add it all up in a row. Okay, that's the box method. Let's see, what else do we have? Distributive or FOIL. So FOIL is based on the distributive property. And so this would be like breaking. So I have 25 times 48. I'm going to write it horizontally. And I'm going to break it by, again, place value. So 20 plus 5, parentheses, and then 40 plus 8 in parentheses. And I'm going to do what you did in algebra. So first, outside, inside, last. So first is going to be 20 times 40. Outside is going to be 8 times 20. Inside is going to be 5 times 40. And last is going to be 5 times 8. All right, and then I'm going to multiply each piece. So 800, 160, 200, and 40. And again, kids might add these in pieces. So they might take the 160 and the 40 and say, okay, well, that's 200. And then do it that way. So again, they may or may not do it all at once. So 1200, okay? Now, the other way we can do the distributive property is not do FOIL, but just kind of do a single thing distributed. So, for example, if I have 48 times 25 or 25 times 48, I might kind of like the 25, but maybe the 48 I'm going to separate. So maybe I'm going to do 25 and only split the 40 from the 8. So I don't have FOIL, I don't have all 4 parts, I just have 2 parts. So I have 25 up front, parentheses 40 times 8. And so then the person might be like, okay, well, 25 times 40, and then take 25 times 8. Okay, 4 quarters is 100 and tack on an extra 0. So 25 times 40 is 1,000. And then 25 times 8 quarters is what? $2, so 200. So 1,000 plus 2 is 1,200. And I still get the same answer, okay? So again, these are all more interconnected than maybe our add and subtract methods because, again, you're focusing on place value and the pieces, okay? All right, so this one's just distributing, but instead of distributing like all 4 parts, you're only distributing one thing to 2. So it's still distributive property. All right, the last one is lattice, which lattice is just kind of a trick too. So if I have 25 times 48, lattice is what we call kind of the new standard algorithm. So it's kind of taken place of the other one. So a lot of teachers teach this and they never teach the standard algorithm anymore. So in this, you make a 2x2 grid. So 4 boxes kind of interconnected there. So like a big rectangle with a plus down the middle. And again, kind of want these to be square shaped because we're going to go down the diagonals. All right, so in the bottom left corner, bottom right corner, I'm going to go and cut that square on the diagonal from the top right to the bottom left with a dash line, and the dash line is going to extend out to the left. So I start on the right corner, do a dash line through the left corner all the way beyond the shape. All right, now I'm going to go to the very top right box and go in that corner, so the very top right corner. And again, I'm going to cut it in half with a diagonal going all the way through 2 boxes diagonally and off to the side. So I'm going to go diagonally from the right down to the left. I'm going to go through the middle, diagonally, keep going, dash line, past the other box. Okay, so when you do that middle one, I'm cutting 2 boxes diagonally. And then the top left, I'm going to draw from the top right corner of that box to the left, again, dash line going diagonally through it. All right. So I'm going to put my 25 on the top and my 48 on the side. And again, you write 2548. This does not focus on place values. This is just kind of a trick method. It's not anything that's based on place value knowledge, really. All right, I'm going to start in the right corner. 5 times 4 is 20, so I put a 2 above the dash line and a 0 below. All right, I'm going to scooch over to the left. So the top left box is 2 times 4. You have to have a 2 digits, so I'm going to put 0 above the dash line and 8 below, so 0, 8. Far right, I have 5 times 8, so I'm going to put 40 in the bottom right corner, so 4 above the dash line, 0 below. And then in the left corner, I have 2 times 8 is 16, 1 above the dash line, 6 below. All right, and then you just add things from diagonally kind of going to the left here. So I have a 0 in the far right. The next line up going diagonally, I have 0, 4, 6, which is 10, so I'm going to put a 0, and I'm going to regroup my 1. So when you get 10, you do have to go over to that place value. I have 2, 8, 1 plus the extra 1, so that's what, 12. So I'm going to put a 2 and then a regroup to a 1 into the next diagonal. And then 0 with the 1 is 1. So I get 1, 2, 0, 0 kind of going off to the left here, which is 1200. Okay, and that is called lattice. All right, those are our main methods for now. We do have a grid method where we use graph paper, okay? But these are kind of the main ones for now.